Mic plugged in. What's happening, my people? Lately here, I don't know. It's been cloudy a lot. The weather's changing. Winter is here. Fall is over with. I found that out when I went outside and saw frost on my car for the first time. All right, all fall. So it's officially winter to me. If I have to scrape ice off my car, the winter time is here, right? So I don't know what's been going on with the weather, but my last live was a little choppy. I apologize in advance if it happens again. If the lives keep getting choppy, I'm going to go back for a little while to making my normal videos. They just take so long to upload. It's just easier for me to go live because they upload instantly. I came in a little late from when I said I was going to come in, a few minutes late, because I'm compiling information to back up my point I'm making about the dominance of the forward position. And especially, I want to say, especially from the 2000s on, but I'm going to go through different eras to show the dominance of the forward position. And I was going to say the small forward position, but a lot of times the forward position is interchangeable. Like a guy may start out at small forward, then as he progresses in his career, he'll switch over to the four as he starts to gain weight and strength, like Kevin Durant, like even LeBron James plays the four a lot of times now. And Larry Bird played the four a lot for the Boston Celtics when McHale was on the bench. Who else can I say goes in between? The great role player Robert Horry always swung back and forth from the small forward to the power forward position. Dennis Rodman started out as a small forward and progressed into a power forward, and so on and so forth. I just want to give a few examples of that, right? Okay. It's all about winning, folks. At the end of the day, coulda, woulda, shoulda doesn't count. It's all about winning. So I actually wanted to go through all the players and their finals appearances and how many finals they won, just to back up my claim, because what made me make this video was I watched, of course, some Laker highlights last night, and LeBron LBJ showed up big again in his 19th season, playing like an all-star. Is he playing like an MVP? Well, he's an MVP candidate every year. Every year LeBron steps on the court, with the exception of year one, his rookie year, he was an MVP candidate. So he's been an MVP candidate for 18 years straight. But I'm not just going to make this a LeBron video. There's a reason why I didn't put LeBron in the thumbnail, in the picture of this video, because I know some people are tired of seeing LeBron and tired of hearing about him. But this is he's very relevant to this discussion, because I wrote down a little list here. Well, first of all, the last 6 NBA championships, right? Let's go back. Yannis, Kawhi. No, excuse me, Yannis, LeBron with the Lakers, Kawhi with the Raptors, Kevin Durant with the Warriors, Kevin Durant with the Warriors, that's 5. Then it swung back to LeBron, right? 6. And before that, it was you can throw Tim Duncan in between there. I believe he grabbed 1 or 2 during that time. Dirk Nowitzki grabbed 1 off of that Miami Heat team, and so on and so forth. The last, I would say, 10 NBA finals have pretty much been dominated by forwards, as the center position has changed. And Gilbert Arenas of the No Chill podcast and former all-star from the Washington Wizards blamed Shaq for that reason. He said when Shaq came into the league and dominated right from the beginning in the paint, no 6'10", 6'11" center, even 7-foot center who was 220, 230, 240, even 250 and 60 pounds wanted to deal with Shaq. And I'm going to point to one guy that I know specifically. Well, he wasn't ducking Shaq. He wasn't ducking the smoke. But Tim Duncan came into the Spurs with a dominant all-star center already in place in David Robinson, the Admiral. So Tim Duncan slid over to the power forward position. Now, do I believe Tim Duncan is a prototypical power forward? No. He was a center masquerading as a forward. And even after David Robinson retired, Tim Duncan didn't really want to bang with the bigs, the big, heavy guys, that would wear him down. He definitely didn't want to match up with nobody like Shaq or Yao Ming. Shaq and Yao Ming were the last two dominant centers, I would say. And now you have Joel Embiid. But Yao Ming didn't make it that far in the playoffs too, but he still dominated during the regular season. I'll give him credit for that. And I'll give Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic of recent times for dominating at the center position. But by and large, all the dominant big men are forwards. And most of the dominant players now are forwards. Yes, you have a group of you always have a group of about 4 or 5 spectacular point guards, right? That's pretty much going to be in any season. But the dominance of the forward position, small forward and power forward position, started to stand out to me. I'm going to go through a list of names, and then I'll start to show some video. Julius Erving, Dr. J, from the Nets of the ABA, moving to the 76ers of the NBA. That 76er team was dominant. Dr. J won a championship in the NBA, and he won a championship in the NBA and went to more than one finals, right? That's Dr. J. He was the spearhead of that 76er team. Some may say Moses Malone was the dominant player on those teams. But even if you want to say 50-50, they don't win anything without the good doctor, right? Dominant small forward, all-time great, big-time scorer, right? Then I tried to follow a timeline from Dr. J, and excuse me if I skipped over Elgin Baylor and Rick Barry and a couple of guys from Havlicek. Well, let's start this timeline correctly, right? Let's go Elgin Baylor at the small forward position, dominant, but he went to 7 finals and won nothing. So I'm putting credence on actually getting to the finals and winning. Not every year, but you have to have won something for me to put you high up on the list. Elgin went to 7 finals, 0 championships, right? If I'm going to follow a basic timeline from the 60s up. Then we go to Hondo, John Havlicek for the Boston Celtics, went to 8 finals and won 8 championships. Right? Then we're going to go to Hondo was winning in the late 60s, and Hondo was winning in the 70s, right? Then we go to the 70s, Dr. J, into the early 80s, right? As a dominant forward, winning championships, getting to the finals. If there's anybody that I leave off this list or you don't hear me mention, you know how you do. Get in the comment section and educate me or remind me. Then we have, we got Elgin Baylor, John Havlicek. I'm going in order from the 60s on up. Havlicek, Julius Erving, Larry Bird and McHale, Scottie Pippen. No, not Scottie Pippen. Excuse me. I'm going to have to slip in James Worthy. And also Bill Laimbeer in before Scottie in chronological order, right? And also Dennis Rodman, then Scottie Pippen. Karl Malone didn't win any championships, but he went to back-to-back finals and won an MVP during Jordan's prime won 2 MVPs, I believe, during Jordan's prime. So Karl Malone was a dominant player. He just didn't have the team around him other than Stockton to get to the finals and actually win it. And of course, he had the bad luck of running into Jordan 2 years in a row in the finals, right? We go to Charles Barkley, dominant player. Didn't get it done when he had his chance against Jordan, when it was the Bulls against the Phoenix Suns. But Barkley was a dominant player. He's one of the reasons they put in the 5-second back down rule. I mean, he's the primary reason they did it in all reality, because this was pre-Shaquille O'Neal, right? Then we have Tim Duncan, who came in the late 90s, right when Michael Jordan's run was over with the Bulls, came in and started winning and going to the finals with the Spurs along with David Robinson. So we have Tim Duncan. Then we're going to go to Rasheed Wallace. I'm going to mention some people that you might not think of. Yes, Rasheed Wallace is one of the most underrated players in NBA history because he was always being thrown out of games and arguing with referees, and that kind of took some of the spotlight away from his game. He was a great defender, long arms, a legitimate 6'10", 6'11" guy with long arms, great shooting touch from the mid-range, very good free throw shooter, and he was one of the first big men, 6'10" and up above, to step out routinely from that three-point line and make three-pointers. That's why I have Lambeer on the list for being a versatile big, and I have Lambeer on the list because, to me, he single-handedly took out that Portland Trailblazer team in that finals. I forget what year it was, 89, 90. You guys can correct me, somewhere around there, right? It was the year before the Bulls got there. And Bill Lambeer single-handedly dismantled that Portland Trailblazer team mentally, totally took them out of the game. And Bill Lambeer had underrated skill as a shooter, a rebounder, and a post passer. Okay, I'm going to try and stick in order here. Dirk Nowitzki, right? No, excuse me, Kevin Garnett, because Kevin Garnett won a championship before Dirk when he joined the Boston Celtics. Kevin Garnett won an MVP with Minnesota. He was a dominant player for a good 10, 11-year stretch in Minnesota, just didn't have the pieces around him. The best they could do was one year when they put Latrell Sprewell and Sam Cassell on the team with him, and they almost went to the Western Conference Finals. I think they went to the Western Conference semifinals. So then we get to Dirk Nowitzki, who won an MVP even prior to winning a championship, upsetting the Miami Heat in that NBA Finals with his Dallas Mavericks. I have here Dirk, then LeBron, of course. LeBron went on a dominant run where he went to 8 straight finals, but even before the 8 straight, he went to the finals against the Spurs and got swept. But if you go back and look at that team LeBron had, it might have been the worst finals team, along with Iverson 76ers and a couple of others. You know, Patrick Ewing's Knicks might have been one of the worst finals teams. The Knicks team that went to the finals against the Spurs, another horrible team, right? How did they get to the finals? I don't know, but they got there. So LeBron, by the way, LeBron is in his 19th season, like I mentioned before. LeBron has been to 10 NBA finals and won 4, but that's including 8 straight. That's like going to 8 straight Super Bowls, 8 straight World Series, like I've mentioned in the past. Draymond Green, a lot of you are going to say, what? Draymond Green, but he was the heart and the engine of that Golden State Warrior dynasty, and they happened to win a championship without Kevin Durant. They didn't get him to the next season. Or excuse me, to 2 years after their first championship. So he had a run of dominance with that Warrior team that won a championship against LeBron's Cavaliers, went back to the finals against LeBron's Cavaliers and lost. But that season that they lost to LeBron, they set the NBA regular season record with 73 wins and 9 losses. So Draymond Green doesn't put up the big scoring numbers, but he did a little of everything. He was more skilled than Dennis Rodman, but played a similar role for that team, except he could actually knock down a three. And he was a better facilitator, as many times the offense ran through Draymond. And Draymond would have stat lines like 12 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, a block and 3 steals. And he would just be all over the place, gave Steph Curry a break from running the offense and always being on the ball. So Steph Curry could cut around, go through screens, and play more like a shooting guard, which they still do to this day. Then we have Kevin Durant, who then joined that Golden State Warrior team. He was already dominating in OKC, winning scoring titles and an MVP. But Russell Westbrook prevented him from taking the next step and winning a championship. They went to the finals as a collective of Ibaka, Durant, Westbrook, and James Harden. James Harden coming off the bench and playing the role of Manu Ginobili did with the Spurs. But that Miami Heat team had peaked. LeBron was at his physical peak. D Wade was at his physical peak. And so was Chris Bosh. And they just had more experience than that OKC team and beat them pretty easily in 5 games. But KD went to Golden State, swallowed his pride, joined a team that had a better offensive system than the OKC Thunder and had a better playmaker, decision maker in Draymond Green and Steph Curry. He went on to win 2 straight championships with the Golden State Warriors and 2 finals MVPs. They also went to the finals again, a 3rd straight year, but that's when the injury bugs caught up to the Warriors with Durant and Klay Thompson going down with injuries that kind of paved the way for Kawhi Leonard to win his win his 2nd championship, I believe it was, or 3rd, I'm not sure, but I believe it was the 2nd, but the first as being the first option in the man with the Toronto Raptors after he forced his way off for the San Antonio Spurs. That leads me to Kawhi Leonard. I just spoke on him. And we're going to go into Yannis Antetokounmpo. Yannis has been dominant for about a good 4-year stretch, winning back-to-back MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, all-team first defense, scoring in the mid to late 20s per game, grabbing 11 rebounds plus and averaging somewhere around 6 assists. He had the highest efficiency rating since Wilt Chamberlain. That's how dominant Giannis has been statistically during the regular season. He fell short a few times in the playoffs because teams would just basically play his own against him and wall off the paint, take away his strength, and force him into a difficult shot or for him to get rid of the ball. But Giannis recently broke through with a championship last year against the Phoenix Suns led by Chris Paul. Anthony Davis is also, I'm going to mention him for breaking through with LeBron, winning a championship in the bubble. He was dominant for about a good 6-year stretch in the regular season, was dominant in all-star games. Everyone said once he gets to a team that has pieces, he's going to be tough to deal with, and he was once he got to the Lakers with LeBron. Okay, who else am I mentioning? I'm going to mention a couple of names just based off of winning. James Worthy, 6 finals appearances, 3 championships. Horace Grant, 5 finals appearances, 4 championships. Dennis Rodman, 6 NBA finals appearances, 5 championships. Tim Duncan, 6 NBA finals appearances, 5 championships. Andre Iguodala, 6 NBA finals appearances, 3 championships. Scottie Pippen is 6 for 6, just like Michael Jordan. Robert Horry is 7 for 7. Robert Horry doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Are you going to place that now? Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Thank you. Robert Horry, 7 finals appearances, 7 NBA championships. Robert Horry does not have the stats of nearly anyone on this list. But his impact, if you watch those games, especially at the end of games, his fearlessness, shooting game-winning threes, bailing out my Lakers teams numerous times. Every team he was on that went to the finals, the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Spurs, he contributed big-time defensive stops and big-time offensive shots. So Robert Horry, to me, gets an honorable mention as a dominant forward. A couple notables here, right? Magic Johnson was 6'9" and jumped center. Could Magic Johnson be considered a forward? Yes, he can, but I'm just going to disqualify him because he played the point guard position his entire career, except for when he came back out of retirement and briefly played the power forward position for the Lakers that had Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, and those group of guys. That was before Shaq got there. That might have even been before Kobe got there, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to really, like I said, I want this to be an interactive channel. I'm going to make a separate video showcasing most of these guys' highlights because I want to give you some visuals. But I just wanted to make some talking points with this live. In recent times, the NBA has been dominated by the forward position, so much so that they took the center position out of the All-Star ballot, which is ridiculous. I mean, that's just like taking the shortstop position out of, or the catcher position out of baseball on an All-Star ballot. But because of the fluidity of the game and the way the game is evolving and rule changes and shooting ability of the newer crop of players coming along and the emphasis on ball movement and not just dumping the ball down into the block and using 18 to 20 seconds of the shot clock before anybody gets a shot. The game is played totally different now. Don Nelson from the Golden State Warrior fame coined the phrase small ball, Nelly ball, and he was ahead of his time. He was frowned upon at the time for playing a style of basketball that wasn't considered a winning style. It was considered more of an entertaining style. And that's when you used to hear phrases like offense entertains, but defense wins the games. Now, that's partly still true. But in the NBA now, if you can't score 100 points, 110 points at the very least, I don't care what defense you're playing, you're going to lose because you're not going to hold a team to 90 points in the modern era. Maybe once the grind of the playoffs kick in and you're in, deep in the playoffs and everybody's tired and beat up and banged up or injured, the scores will come down. They come down every playoffs. No matter what you go through history, the scores usually come down in the playoffs because you're pitting the best against the best. You can watch film and tendencies because you're playing a guy for the most part at least 5, 6, 7 games. So you get the scouting down. It just makes it tougher on the offense come playoff time. And the regular season is different. You're just globetrotting, going from city to city to city to city, watch a little bit of film. But come playoff time, you're really locking in on tendencies. All right, so I'm going to make this a short live. I want you guys to chime in the comment section. What do you feel about the dominance of the forward position? And I was going to say small forward position, but in recent times, the power forward position has become dominant with players like it's changed. Yes, they had players in the 70s like Elvin Hayes and different guys like Bob McAdoo, different guys like that played the power forward position that could shoot the lights out. Absolutely. Oh, and I forgot one, Chris Webber, as I mentioned. And even Jermaine O'Neal from the Portland Trail Blazers and Pacers. Of course, Clifford Robinson, who came off the bench and played a vital role for the Portland Trailblazers. He was one of the first big men forwards I seen shooting threes as well, along with Tom Chambers. I cannot forget about Tom Chambers. The reason I didn't mention him earlier is because he didn't even get to the finals, but Tom Chambers was a hell of a player. Then you have Detlef Schrempf. I could go on, folks, with this forward position. But just recently, because I don't always like to just be nostalgic, just in recent times, I would say the last 20 years or so, you have Dirk Nowitzki, Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and now Yannis and Anthony Davis dominating the league right now. You know, if you want to go a little bit further back, we can go Chris Webber, Malone and Barkley, but neither one of those guys won a championship. I'm really going to stick to dominance of winning, right? Bill Laimbeer, Kevin McHale, both of those guys reduced their roles for their respective teams to play a more team-oriented winning style of basketball. Any team that wins consistently year after year after year has guys that sacrifice their game to do so. There's no other way. And then, you know, all the small forwards we know about who dominated the games. Larry Bird, Scottie Pippen was dominant on defense. LeBron James. Why you say why you not mentioning Bernard King, Carmelo Anthony, Dominique Wilkins, and so on and so forth? Well, these guys weren't. I'm not going to say they weren't winners, but they didn't get to the apex or the mountaintop, right? Mainly in this list, I'm trying to shout out mostly guys who got to the mountaintop. That's why I started researching these guys, starting with how many finals appearances they had and how many championships they had. I have the full list. Right? And let's find some of these other guys here. Wilt Chamberlain, for those who love Wilt Chamberlain, went to 6 finals and won 2. He's not a forward, but I just wanted to throw that out there, right? Kevin McHale went to 5 finals and won 3, right? I'm throwing out guys like Rick Fox, who went to 4 finals and won 3, because we know how he got that, right? Chris Bosh went to 4 straight finals. Forgot about him. He's a power forward and won 2 with that dominant Miami Heat team led by LeBron James and D Wade, right? Bob McAdoo went to 4 finals and won 2. I got to put some respect on Bobby Mac's game. Bob McAdoo. Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson's the role-playing power forward for my Los Angeles Lakers of the 80s, toned his game down to play along with that squad. He went to 4 finals and won 2. Julius Erving went to 4 finals and won 1. But so did Richard Jefferson. But obviously there's a difference between Dr. J and Richard Jefferson, right? The great Bob Pettit went to 4 finals and won 1. Connie Simmons went to 4 finals and won 1. But then you have guys like Tristan Thompson that went to 4 and won 1, and that was the 4 straight with Cleveland, with a Cleveland team led by LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving. Bruce Bowen, the great defensive specialist for the San Antonio Spurs, went to 3 finals and won 3. So you can't put total emphasis on finals appearances and wins because you have a guy like Judd Bushler, who was part of that second three-peat with the Chicago Bulls, who went to 3 finals and won 3. So you know, this is just a guide. You can't go by this exclusively, right? Mario Elie, the great role player of the Houston Rockets fame, went to 3 finals and won 3. Tony Kukoc, 3 and 3, right? Trying to throw some names out here you might recognize. Bill Bradley, I believe, was a forward for the Knicks. He went to 3 and won 2. And you got guys like Dave DeBusschere, went to 3, won 2. They was part of that same Knick team. You got James Buddha Edwards going to 3 and winning 2 because he played with all of those greats on the Pistons. Bill Laimbeer went to 3, won 2. Kawhi Leonard has been to 3 finals and won 2. The one loss, I believe, was to the Miami Heat, that Miami Heat team with LeBron and D Wade. Lamar Odom on that LA Laker team led by Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol went to 3 finals, winning 2. For my boy Tariq, Jerome Kersey went to 3 finals of the Portland Trailblazer fame. Jerome Kersey went to 3, winning 1. The great defensive player Bobby Jones went to 3, winning 1. Dolph Schayes went to 3, winning 1. Rasheed Wallace, who I mentioned earlier, went to 3 finals, winning 1. Karl Malone went to 3 finals, winning 0. Sam Perkins went to 3 finals. He was another stretch big early in the game, and he was shooting threes. 6'9", 6'10", Sam Perkins. Mark Aguirre, 2 and 2 with the Pistons. Dave Cowens of the Celtics fame went to 2 finals, winning 2. Who was Dave Cowens, a center? I think he might have been a center. So you get the drift, guys. If there's any players that I left off, I didn't mention from any era that you know about or have an affinity for, feel free to hit me up in the comment section. Join the discussion. Let me know what you feel about it. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to try to, bring some content every single day. If I don't, I'll double up on it to make up for it. If I'm particularly busy that day and I don't have time to either do a live or create a video, and sometime I'll have the time to make a regular video. But like I said, with the weather and the reception here in the mountains, I can make a video, upload it, and it could take anywhere from a couple of hours to all damn day, 16 hours, 20 hours. So this is why I've been doing a lot of lives lately. It's just much easier for me to do the live, end it, it instantly uploads, and you guys can view it and comment and put in your 2 cents. I'd like to thank Aram for commenting and talking to me earlier in the comment section. I'm going to always shout out my long time subscribers, long time since last December. Well, it's almost a year now. For me, it's a long time. I just started this channel basically a year ago. So I want to shout out Aram, KC's been rocking with me for a minute. Leo DeRosia. Captain Futuro. Faisal, who chimes in on my bicycle videos. And there's a few others that have been commenting for quite a while. I'm just scrolling through the comments here. My boy Tariq, of course, who chimes in on the lives as well. Give Tariq a shout out. By the way, me and Tariq got something planned coming up in the future where he's going to join me on a live and break down some basketball topics. He's very knowledgeable, played organized ball and coached organized ball. So I'm looking forward to having Tariq coming in and co-hosting a live with me. Pat Kavanaugh, my buddy Al from Orange. I won't shout out where he's from, but my boy Al from Cali. And if I don't get to you and you've been commenting on the channel for a while, please let me know in the comment section. I definitely will shout you out. All right, but I'm going to wrap this up right now because I want to interact with you guys on this subject. I don't want to just run my mouth. What I probably will do is do a visual part 2 to this live and show you highlights of all the great forwards that I mentioned, or as many as I can get to. And I'll have that for you guys maybe in the next day or so, depending how fast it uploads, right? I want to thank you all for tuning in, liking the video, subscribing, chiming in the comment section, arguing with me back and forth, or agreeing with me. Doesn't matter. Same thing, right? It's interaction and it's sports talk is what we do, right? We don't take it personal. Barbershop, sports debate. Quick funny story. Rest in peace, my former barber, Rock. He was a diehard Kobe Bryant fan. Now, I was a Laker fan, right? But just to screw with him, I would come in there and tell him, man, Kobe ain't better than LeBron. LeBron is the man. Kobe's garbage, right? Going on. He would stop cutting to argue with me, threaten to throw me out of the barbershop. Even when I sat down to cut my hair, he'd be looking at me. He said, I should zeke you right now with these clippers. And he used to torture me. He used to make me wait 3-4 guys getting their hair cut so he could argue with me. And anytime I had to go to the barbershop, I have to make plans to be in there, for like 3 hours till he gets to me. Then he holds me in the chair and we both arguing back and forth while he's cutting my hair. I miss you, Rock. Rest in peace, brother. I know you out there somewhere running your damn mouth. All right, so that's all I got for you guys on this live. Just a one-topic live this time. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon.